Hi friends, it's Sarah from Ruffles and rainboots.com here with a new fan favorite, the Treasure Gnome. We're going to turn her into a cute little witch today. If you'd like to make her with me, boop, just stick around. As always, please like this video so I know you're here crafting. I'm going to show you the front, the back, the center, everything. You know how it is. If you want to get this pattern, you can get it down below. I also am selling the acrylic pattern pieces, which make it so much easier to cut fabric. As this is a really great size for shipping, it's also going to be a quite popular Christmas gnome, I anticipate. So I'm going to put the link to the Etsy down below and also to the printable pattern down below as well. So as a question I got was, how do I use the acrylic pattern pieces? So this is the brim of the hat, and you can see I'm just going to put this on. You can also see with all my fingerprints that I use it a lot. And so when you're working with the rotary, this is so easy, right? If you don't have a rotary, the chalk, so like in sewing, we have these like little chalk pens and chalk pencils. Those are perfect to use with this. Okay, so once you have everything cut, you can see I have my pattern pieces here, which are the brim and the hat and the body pieces. I'm going to be using these Dollar Tree brooms because I'm going to cut them smaller. I have a wood flatback or wood cabochon here that I'm just going to paint green. And then I have options for braids. I thought that bright green would work, but we'll just see. I'm not sure yet. So I'm going to be using poly pellets and polyfill stuffing. I'm also going to be using a hot glue gun, some scissors. I'm going to paint this with a combination of forest green and bright yellow paint because that's all I had. And now it's time to assemble. So I have already shown how to hot glue assemble this pattern, but I'm going to be sewing this one today because I actually have to go pick up my daughter and go to Taekwondo. I try and fit my crafting in when I can. So if you are sewing, you can just follow the pattern. It is 1/4 seam allowance. I do 1/8 sometimes, just if I want a really bulbous tummy, but make your heart happy, do what you'd like. I'm going to turn out all the pieces, and as always, roll the bottom seam in between my finger to help it sit flat. The reason the sizing is the way it is because it's going to give us a nice rounded body. For the hat assembly, I've already made the brim and I top stitched the brim, which is an option you have. I'm going to flip out this hook hat, and I'm going to be using pliers. Apparently that's the international symbol for pliers, but you can use hemostats. I'm just using these needle nose pliers, and I'm just going to grab it and pull it through. Now, for those of you who have hot glued it, you will turn your brim right side out. But for those of us who sewed, you're going to sew it, top stitch it if you would like. So it's already been turned out. So I'm just using the tip of my scissors to poke out the tip of the hat. I get questions a lot. Why do you do that? You're going to bust it through. Use a chopstick. Use a pencil with the eraser end. Like, make your heart happy. I love putting my hands in the... I don't know if it's a sensory thing, but it's really cool. Anyway, you're going to follow the pattern instructions on the amount that goes in there for the weight, and then you're just going to tamp it down, making sure it's getting all the way around the edges before you stuff polyfill. A tip I learned is to always rip apart your polyfill into small pieces. It's going to be able to sort of settle a little better, and you're going to get the right density. So over time, polyfill will start to break down. And what you want is, when we create something, we want to squeeze it, and if it bounces back to its original size, it is correct. So that's why you see me squeezing it and rubbing and making sure everything is absolutely stuffed to where I want it. Now, to close this gnome, you don't technically have to do this, but I do recommend it because it's so short. We're just going to close up this back piece right here, just fold it in, and then we're going to glue the whole body shut and then stiff, like kind of tuck it down. I'll stop talking and just let you watch it. There you go. The reason we're doing that is because A, we're going to use less polyfill in our hat, and B, it's going to give a nice wide base for our hat to build. So speaking of the hat, we are going to have to stuff the hat. Now you will see me add copious amounts of polyfill into here. If you are shipping these, I recommend, this is like the perfect size gnome to ship, right? But if you're shipping these, I recommend you absolutely overstuff that top hook. And the reason is because it's going to move around in shipping. If you would like, add a little bit of tissue paper underneath the hook portion so that when they unpackage it, the tissue paper has basically protected that hook, right? So once I get it stuffed, you don't need to stuff it very far, like just a couple inches down the part of the cone, because we are actually going to be using the body as part of it. Now, the reason my first tutorial was not in black is because this is very hard to see. But if you look at the pattern and all of my other tutorials on the Treasure Gnome pattern, you'll see there are 4 triangles on the top and bottom of the brim, and those are what I am pulling. You see those? I'm pulling the bottom ones down, and I'm keeping the top ones on the top of the brim. And the reason is because we're going to assemble this easily using those triangles. It just makes it so much easier than attempting to get things in the right spot, especially when hot gluing, because it will shift and you will be mad that you will see hot glue marks. As per usual, Sarah always overstuffs, so we're going to take a little bit out and then it will sit perfect. There we go. So I'm just going to pull that down into place. Now, I'm going to tell you, glue the front and glue the back. That's it. You're going to want to keep the sides open in case you have to add any more stuffing. This fleece is like the fleeciest fleece. It breaks apart. I don't know. I got it from Joann's. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just making sure everything is centered, and I'm going to put my glue stick in correctly. And then I'm just going to glue down the front and the back. And again, you're going to be squeezing the hat to make sure that you have enough stuffing along the sides and you have those 2 sides open just in case. So now I'm going to pull the brim down into place. Again, I'm using those little handles, the little triangles, super simple. And then that makes it just easier to pop this down. All right, so now that we have that in place, I'm going to actually start assembling or start gluing everything. I gave you the thumbs up. It's like I'm a pilot or something. Look fancy. Oh my gosh. If you heard me say that, like if you're listening to this, write pilot in the comments. I swear I go off on tangents. Anyway, I glued down the sides. Now I'm going to glue down these little like triangles. I hope you can see it over my fingers. But when I glue down the triangles, I want to pull the back of the hat down. This is preference, but I want to pull the back of the hat down because I want to really highlight the braids that I'm going to make for the little girl. So now I'm just making sure that the front triangles are going to be in the right spot and glue those down underneath. There we go. And now, there we go. And now we can, so for the top, I know it's going to be so hard for you to see, but there's triangles here. Only glue where the triangle meets the brim fabric. So you're just making a straight line right across there. And we'll cut off the top of the triangles. You can see that one sticking out. We're going to cut those off because if you don't have to. You just need a wider band to cover them. Let me just hold those in place. I'm going to edit that part out. Now I'm going to glue down the back of the hat. So again, it shifts the front of the hat up. Anywho, the triangles, you can glue down the front or the top triangles in place, but you just have to have a ribbon or some kind of banding enough to hide them. So I'm just going to cut mine off because I don't know what ribbon I'm using yet for this little girl. All right, so here I go. I'm just going to use some scissors and cut those little triangles off. You don't want to cut off the bottom ones, by the way, because they're going to be the ones holding on that bottom brim of the hat. You've already glued on the cone, so no big deal there. Now I'm going to use this stuff. Wow, it's violent. So this is wool roving. I have about 87 colors I got in a pack off of Amazon. It's a needle felting kit, and it had these little couple ounce packages of this stuff. And I mean, when I say I have every color, I mean I have every color under the sun. I have like 8 greens. So anyway, all I'm going to do is split this. It's super easy to work with. You very barely pull it apart and the whole thing will come. And I'm going to be making braids. They're going to look like this. No, just kidding. I don't know what I was doing there. I wanted to make sure I get my nose into the right spot and I can pull down my hat over it. So I'm just finding the middle and gluing that on first so I can put my braids on the right place. All right, so I'm going to tape that down. And then I got the right idea. Oh, wait, I have purple too. I can use some purple. So I'm going to split this into braids, and then I'm going to add a little tiny strip of purple. Is it the same shade of purple? 'Tis not. Am I going to use it anyway? Yes, I am. All right. So now we just braid it. I'm pretty sure you know how to braid, but I just braided with the little purple streak in front just so you could see it. And then all you have to do is braid. I'm going to speed this part up. I don't braid that fast. And then I'm going to use a little elastic. If you have a ribbon, I would recommend using the elastic just because this stuff kind of sticks to your hands really well. And I only wanted to pull off what I needed so that I could use the rest of it on another project. So I did my little thing. It's going to look like this. Look, it's going to look like this. But I am going to tuck over under the piece. So you can see I added a little elastic at the top as well, just to make sure it never came undone. And then now I'm going to pull off the bottom. It's very hard to explain. Don't cut it with scissors, just pull it off, holding the top so it doesn't take out your braid. And that right there will shorten it. Then you just repeat it with the second one. And look, now you have two of them. So I'm going to hot glue those on. I'm just making sure I got my placement. I have not glued down the sides of the hat yet or anything, just to make sure I like the way it looked. And then I'm going to add copious amounts of hot glue. So you can see I tuck under the top and we're going to end up gluing that down. So I'm gluing first, adding glue to the little hat, and I'm going to tuck this portion down. I'm going to rip off some of that. Oh, I'm going to cut off some of that because I got lazy. And then now we're going to glue it down. I'm putting it on either side of the nose, only just because I don't know why I did that. Once that was dry, I raised it up and then glued it down into place. And you can give it a little dress. I have shared how to make little dresses on this channel. For this, I would just make a cute little skirt and maybe an apron top. But once you have the two sides glued down, you can decorate it any way you want. I am going to twist the little bottoms here. You don't need any wax or anything like that. This stuff it's very rough wool roving. It'll stay where you put it. All right, so now I'm going to decorate. And for my decoration, I've had these from the Dollar Tree, and I'm finally going to use them. So they're just these little witch's brooms. Oops, don't need to. And I'm going to use scissors. I don't really like that bow either, so I'm going to take that off. But I'm just going to cut this down so that it fits. Watch out. I swear I could like stick somebody. Ouchie, stick somebody with the way I cut things sometimes. But anyway, just trimmed it down and then went through a lot of ribbon just to see what I liked. I like this little black one. Do take your hot glue gun and squish it around so the glue doesn't show, through your ribbon. On the back, I just, what do you call it? Cross them? Yeah, just cross them. But I did glue them down, but they're just crossed in the back. I'm going to end up adding bows. I don't know why, but I just felt like bows that day. So I cut a couple little bows out of the same ribbon, and I'm going to dovetail the ends, and I'm going to glue this on. Now I'm going to hold this on there, so I'm going to hold it in place until it's fully set. So I'm going to edit that part out because it did take quite a few seconds. So I'm going to dovetail the ends of this one, and then I added the bow to the front and then add another bow to the back. So if you don't know how to tie those teeny tiny little bows, I do have a bow tying video on this channel called a fork bow. Super easy, super simple. I love them. They come out always so cute. And that is it for this little cutie. So I will put the Treasure Gnome pattern below in the description box and in the first comment. Let me know what you think of her. I love her, but I'd love it if you shared, commented, and subscribe for more crafty fun.